October, the spookiest month of the year, a time when ghouls, goblins and ghosts gallivant, a time for demons to dance, and monsters, well, they do be mashing. With October, of course, comes Halloween, a time of year which I love. And given that it is Halloween season, Halloweezen, if you will. Oh no, that doesn't work at all. Ugh. And given that it is Halloween season, I thought I would make a video sharing with you my top paranormal experiences. While I do lie on the skeptical side of the fence, I am more of a Scully than a Mulder. I've always had a penchant for the paranormal, an interest in the inexplicable. I like ghosts.
What, you got like a word-a-day calendar or something?
From being a kid loving things like Goosebumps, Mona the Vampire, and Scooby-Doo, to being the man I am today, loving things like horror movies, paranormal podcasts, and Scooby-Doo. Because Scooby-Doo is fucking great. Scooby-Doo is timeless. I even stayed at a haunted hotel last year when we did our road trip in America. Flagstaff Hotel in Arizona has some fascinating paranormal history to it, although I'm sad to say that while we were there, the only spirits were the ones we were drinking, and the only thing that haunted me was the karaoke rendition of Sugar We're Going Down that we were forced to hear while waiting at the bar. And again, full disclosure going into this, I am a skeptic. I don't believe that any of these instances that I'm about to relate to you are truly paranormal, but they certainly were weird and certainly made me unsettled at the time that they happened. These stories are also going to escalate from the least to the most paranormally convincing. So, without further ado, let's begin. Story number 1. The Horse's Head. So, one time while I was on a family holiday, I was drifting off to sleep in my bed, just on that verge, on that cusp, right in that moment, just before you fall asleep, usually around the same time that you get a text telling you that your weekly screen time is above average this week, when suddenly, unprompted, I got like a flash of an image in my mind. And the image was of a decapitated horse's head lying in a field. The cut on the neck was also unusual, not a smooth cut as you might expect, but it looked more akin to the kind of cut you see if someone has hacked a tree down. It had that kind of jaggedness to it. It was very alarming and disconcerting just to sort of see an image of that in my head, and I really wish I could follow up this story by saying, and then the next day, oh, I saw a dead horse. Actually, I don't wish that I could say that I saw a dead horse, but I wish that I could say the next day that I saw something related to it, that it seemed like it was some kind of vision or a prophecy of sorts, but alas, that was the end of that. Just a single split second of an image in my head. Incredibly, incredibly vivid. Was it a warning, a vision, a message of some kind? Are the Mafia trying out new Inception-based tactics? We may never know. But there is a reason that this is bottom of the ladder in terms of paranormal events, because as far as physical evidence goes, there's absolutely none. This was relegated entirely to inside of my head, so pretty much as far from physical evidence as you can get. I think it was, after all, just a random image conjured up by my brain for some unknown reason. Brains are weird. The subconscious is weird. I mean, think about how many times you've ever woken up from a dream and gone, you know what? That was a real normal one. Compared to how many times you've woken up and gone, what the hell was that all about? Why was I fighting Gimli? So all in all, I can pretty happily just chalk this one up to my subconscious having a bit of a giggle. Not really that paranormal. Story number 2, the garage incident. This incident is a little higher up the ladder of paranormal shenanigans, because unlike the horse head, this was a physical occurrence. And also, unlike the horse head, not only was this something that I witnessed, but something that a friend of mine also witnessed. I was with one of my childhood friends at my childhood house because, well, it was our childhood. We had planned to spend the afternoon riding our JD Bug scooters, the big must-have item of the time, even giving Lego a run for their money in terms of the pain it inflicted. My ankle still remembers the damage dealt by these bad boys. Even just talking about it, I can feel the impact. So we took the scooters out of the garage and we locked the garage door. Now this garage door had a particular penchant for being very rattly and rumbly when it was opened and closed. It made a lot of noise. That in itself is not unusual. It was a noisy garage door. What is unusual is after I finished closing and locking it, a good 5-10 seconds passed of just quietness. And then, after that period of quietness, after all the rumbling had finished, there was a gap, and then we heard bang from the other side of the garage door. Not a rumble, not a rattle, but a distinct bang from the other side, as if someone or something were trying to get out. And this maybe wouldn't stick out to me as much if it weren't for the fact that my friend who was with me also clocked that that was strange. That both of us acknowledged that that sound came too late to be part of the general garage sounds. Nonetheless, nothing more happened and we rode on merrily on our scooters. It was pretty much a couple seconds of going, that was weird, yeah, that was weird, that was weird, that was weird. And then we were on our way. Looking back now, it is also quite possible that my dad kept wood chopping axes near the front of the garage, so it is possible that after I had closed and locked it, one of them had just slightly gone off balance, fell and banged the other side of the garage door, and that is what we heard. Or there was a ghost in there, I mean, equally valid explanation, but if there was, I never heard from it again. That brings us on to story number 3, the magenta light. This story is also one where that very same friend was, again, a second witness. This time, however, it was not a strange sound that we heard, but a strange light in the sky. Again, we were at my childhood house. We were on the trampoline in my back garden, just generally playing and messing around when our attention was caught by what we saw up above. Too big to be an airplane, we thought, moving too far and fast to be a firework. It was a distinct pink glowing light with 3 sort of beams protruding from it, silently gliding through the night sky, heading towards the horizon. In that moment, seeing that light, the question arose, what exactly did we just see? Is it possible, could it possibly be that we just had our very own UFO encounter? Could it be that we had borne witness to an alien craft flying above our heads? This is what we thought at the time. Looking back now, though, I can't help but wonder if our imagination might have blown things out of proportion a little bit. While at the time the light seemed too big and the wrong colour to be an airplane, I do distinctly remember that the direction it was heading was towards Leeds Bradford Airport. So maybe it was an airplane after all. But can we pretend like airplanes in the night sky are big UFOs? Maybe we can, but maybe pretend is all it will be. Either way, it is time for the final and most paranormal story that I have for you today. Another time in my back garden growing up. I would have been a teen for this one. Can't remember exactly how old, but certainly in my mid-teens somewhere. I had a bunch of friends that I had invited round, and I forget if this was for a birthday thing or if this was for a Halloween party. I want to say it was a Halloween party. I mean, that would make it a lot more thematic, wouldn't it? We were playing in the garden, and I had gone back inside to get myself a crisp, refreshing Diet Coke. But it was on my way back out of the house and back into the garden that it happened. Now, for a bit of context, I'll just have to describe the layout of the garden somewhat. The garden was divided into a few different segments. The kids area, which is where we have the trampoline and the swings, etc., was fenced off by a willow fence with an archway in it.
I apologize for the crudity of this model, but
No, Doc, it's not the scale.
That is the area where we were all hanging out. Coming out of that house, before I reached that archway, there is a greenhouse on my left. The greenhouse is right up against the edge of the garden, but there is a slight gap between it and the hedge line. Not easily accessible, but you could get there if you were determined enough, which was useful for hide-and-seek purposes and other such matters. I'm walking back out from my house, out from the warmth and into the chilly October night. As I walk toward the archway, I catch in the corner of my eye a glimpse of movement. I turn and look, a glance, and I see the shadow of a person duck behind the greenhouse. At this point, I'm thinking, aha, one of my friends is hiding. We must be doing some kind of hide-and-seek game, which I missed the discussion of while I was inside. I walk through the archway and think, well, no matter, let's count my friends and see who's missing. Then I'll know who has gone and hid. There is, after all, no way anyone would have been able to get back out from behind the greenhouse and circle around to the rest of the group without also bumping into me. A simple equation, I think. I walk through the archway. I count my friends. There is no one missing. Running the numbers in my head, the fear sets in. Because if there is no one missing from the friend group I see before me, then who did I just see duck behind the greenhouse? I was actually so unnerved by that I rallied my friends and got them to look with me behind the greenhouse. We looked around to see if there was anyone there, and alas for all of our looking, there was no evidence that anyone had been there. Not a trace of another person, but I was so certain that I had seen someone. Many of these stories I am able to brush off with a logical explanation, an overactive imagination, that sort of thing. Many of them I had forgotten about less than 10 minutes after they happened. This one, however, still today makes me feel a little unsettled. I won't go so far as to say that it was a actually paranormal experience. As I've said, I do fall on the skeptic side of the fence, but if not a paranormal instance, then an almost scarier thought occurs. Was there a stranger on my property that night? But if there was, then why couldn't we find them? Why was there no trace of anyone there? To this day, I don't know what I saw that night, but I do know that I saw something. But anyway, those have been my most paranormal personal experiences. Please let me know in the comments if you are a skeptic or a believer, a Mulder or a Scully, and if you have had yourself any paranormal experiences that you would like to share. Any strange phenomena that has ever happened to you, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to read it. That is it from me today, so thank you all so much for watching this video. Do remember to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you in my next one. Happy Halloween!